Hello, today I'm going to share with you a term around leadership called the law of the lead and how you can raise your lead. I learned about this law from my mentor and my friend and leadership guru, John Maxwell. And the law of the lead is the first law in his best-selling book of all time, the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. Why is it important to you? It's important to you because you really do need to know your level of leadership, where you are, and how you can actually raise your leadership abilities. And he says that leadership ability is the lead that determines a person's effectiveness. So your effectiveness as a leader is dependent on your ability. So the lower an individual's ability to lead, the lower the lead on his potential. And the higher the individual's ability to lead, the higher the lead on his potential. Understanding this law of leadership, as I said, enables you to assess your leadership levels and effectiveness, and then you become intentional about how you can raise this lead. When I was reading through this and trying to articulate or try to learn about and to see how it can apply in my life, a good example I came across was one of my clients, and in my clients' businesses. In one of the business, there was a sales manager who had been assigned to go and restructure a particular division. She had about 5 account reps, account managers that she was going to work with. Well, she went in there and she really did a great job by leading the people that she was managing. Well, fast track 3 years, and that same brand that was doing well a few years ago had deteriorated, was in crisis. And so I probed further to find out what had happened. I mean, she seemed to be very good 3 years earlier. What had occurred was that as they did well and the account reps were promoted to other branches, they hired new account managers, new salespeople who had more leadership abilities or higher leadership abilities than the sales manager. I'll just call her Janet. So because they had higher leadership abilities, essentially their lead was higher. And the way you look at it, think of a pot. A pod that has a lead. And so what happens is that a person's level of effectiveness cannot go beyond that lead. So no matter how you try and push it up, it stays there. And from a leadership perspective, it means that Janet, who for example had a leadership assessment score of about 7, means that everyone below her will be a 6 and below. So she's able to lead people who had 6 or lower. But then when they hired people who had leadership potential, leadership abilities of about a 9, 10, they were just not able to work with Janet because they were much higher. And what will happen, the effect of that over time, is that they get frustrated and they leave the organization. So the only alternative for the business to keep growing is for one, if they had done that several years before, was to get Janet involved in some kind of leadership development program or move her to another location that probably was still maybe just starting, and the people under her had a lower level of leadership ability. So in this case, what happens is that she really had to move because the people that hired, who were taking the business to the next level, really were bent on continuing that. And you don't want to kind of stunt their own leadership ability. Very, very interesting. And so you're able to assess your leadership and then work on ways to improve that. If you're interested in learning what your leadership score is, send me an email to neka@nekanwobi.com. It will be very interesting to see what your score is. And there are ways to raise your leadership ability or leadership effectiveness as you go along. One, first is be aware of your leadership rating or score. As I said, if you've never assessed yourself, send me an email to neka@nekanwobi.com, or just post your email address in the post below, and then I'll send you your leadership, the assessment. The second is to make an intentional effort to work on your strengths. That means you must first of all know what your strengths are. No, even your weaknesses, knowing that, but focus more on amplifying your strengths. The third is invest in a leadership development coach. Both personally or in your organization, have a leadership development program that you're continually working on with those that and this is now to business owners. Have a leadership development plan, and it doesn't have to be very complex, that you are working with your key employees on. Again, if you need more information about that, I can share some of what I've done with some of my clients. Do something that stretches you, that is beyond yourself. And ways you could do that is volunteering in a non-for-profit organization, where you are able to raise your hand and say, yes, I want to serve, and it stretches you. Or in your church ministries, or there are different organizations where you can begin to develop your leadership abilities. Read books written by great leaders. As I said, John Maxwell is one of the many excellent leadership gurus, and he has written so many books on leadership. Then make a stop doing list and a start doing list. As simple as that. And this is really should be after you have taken that leadership assessment. So several things I've talked about here on how you can raise your leadership. First, the reason why you need to know where you are around leadership, really, because without it, John also says that everything rises and falls on leadership. So even when I go into a business situation, I usually would just ask, who are the leaders? Because almost 80% of the issues have to do with the leaders, right? So how high or how you go in your personal life or in your business has to do with your leadership abilities. So both personal and corporate leadership. I've talked about the fact that there is a lead, so it caps your leadership of effectiveness, which is why you need to know what your leadership score is. Make an intentional effort to work on your strengths. Invest in a leadership development coach, and if you're a business owner, invest in a leadership development program. Do something that is beyond yourself. Read books written by great leaders, and then make a stop doing list, right? And things that you need to start working on. But that is really after you have done the leadership assessment. So I hope this has been helpful. Let me know. I love to get your comments, or also what you want me to expand on. Yes, so I look forward to getting your comments, and until I hear from you, until the next time you get to watch my video, have a successful week, and while doing that, ensure that you're living a significant life.